Before the bath raids in '81, I think that there were activists certainly in the community. There were a few organizations, but there wasn't any kind of mass movement happening. And as we saw in the States, it took the Stonewall riots to basically, to galvanize a movement. And the bath raids did that for us in Toronto. It was so massive in terms of the number of people arrested, in terms of the damage that was being done, the terrorizing that the police did. In one of the bath raids, the Richmond Street, they lined the gay men up in the shower area, and they said, I wish those showers would hook up to gas instead of water. And one of the guys there, his parents had survived the Holocaust. And so when those stories started getting out, and when people saw the massive amount of damage, and everyone seemed to know someone who'd been arrested, then it very quickly galvanized the community, and it awoke a sleeping giant in a sense. One of the demonstrations, the police were clearing the streets, and an elderly gay man near me fell, and the police were kicking him. And so I jumped in and pushed them apart and grabbed him, and meanwhile, then 2 police officers held me while a 3rd one beat me. And so it was scary, and gay people were angry and setting fire to garbage cans. And I remember one demonstration going down Yonge Street, and on one of the side streets, there was a bunch of gay guys trying to roll over the police car, and I stopped them because that's the last thing we needed to have happen.
It's an issue of gays. It's an issue of minority rights.
We have chosen the name WISH in order to underline our wish for equal rights and freedom for all people, regardless of sexual orientation. Thank you.
Much of the applause was saved for this man, the Reverend Brent Hawkes. He started a hunger strike 5 days ago, and he says he's not going to stop until that independent inquiry is established.
The hunger strike happened because it was getting more and more violent. And I was really concerned about that escalating violence on behalf of the police and on behalf of the gay community. And I felt really led. Hunger strikes are part of civil disobedience, an honored part of history. You have to be careful how you enter them, and whether you can have an exit strategy or not. They need to be carefully entered and shouldn't be thought of as lightly. And I really felt that was the right thing to do. And so my protest was to demand an investigation. In those days, people in Northern Ireland were dying from hunger strikes, at 51, 52 days. So this was starting to get a little touchy. So at the city council meeting, Gordon Cressy, who was one of the city councillors, he was trying to fashion a motion to get enough support for the city to have an investigation. And I remember being there that night, sitting in the council chambers, and he would come up and he said, Brent, I think I've got enough votes to pass this motion. And I said, nah, I'm not getting my strike for that. That's not going to give us anything. And so, poor Gordon, he really wanted me to end the strike, but anyway, he kept working it, and finally he got a majority of 1 to pass a motion to set aside $90,000 and to hire an investigator. And I know that the Toronto Sun at the time said, let him starve. And then the day afterwards, they said when the city set aside the $90,000, they said it was the most expensive meal in the history of the city of Toronto. It was appropriately angry in those early days because we had a lot to be angry about. And I worry today because Pride now has 2 functions to fulfill. And I worry that one part overcomes the other. And one is a sense of celebrating how far we've come. I mean, amazing progress in a short period of time. And yet at the same time, in Canada, equality in law does not mean equality in practice. And so there's a lot of discrimination that still exists. The transgender community still don't have protection. And around the world, there are over 60 countries where I couldn't even have a birthday party and invite my gay friends and my straight friends without being arrested. And in 10 of those countries, I would be executed. And so a lot still to be angry, but at the same time, a lot to celebrate. And so how Pride is able to facilitate both of those things happening is a challenge. I think a human rights conference in some form should always be a part of the Pride week or month, always should be a part of that. And what are the challenges we need to take on, and how are we educating our community, and how are we getting people passionate about the work that still needs to be done, should continue to be a part of Pride. And so, I hope that in one form it will continue, that there will be a human rights element.